Support for Up First Winter Games comes from NPR sponsor Allianz Travel Insurance. Get ready to give ordinary the cold shoulder with protection for adventures that give you the best kind of chills. Learn more at allianztravelinsurance.com.
Ski mountaineering, better known as Skimo, is making its debut at these Winter Olympics. NPR's Brian Mann is up in the Alps. He's here to tell us what it is and what to watch for. Brian, so you've actually done this. You've skied in mountains for years. What's the best way to describe this sport?
Well, yeah, this is like a lot of winter sports. It's an event that evolved out of a way that people have just traveled in the mountains for centuries. And in my home mountains of the Adirondacks in New York, I've skied the mountains. And what you're basically seeing people do is ski up really steep slopes. And then when they get to the top, they pivot and they rocket down. So it's this combination of two very different styles of travel.
So, okay, I got to ask you something. How do you ski up slopes? And why don't they just slide down?
Right. Okay, so what you'll be seeing when you watch this is you'll be seeing these athletes just race right up, and it seems like they're defying gravity. And what's happening is they have what's called skins that are stuck to the bottoms of their skis, and they have their synthetic little tabs that go on there. These came from actual animal skins back in ancient times that people used to put on their skis. And so they'll race up using those kind of traction devices, and that's when they'll strip them off and make this pivot for the downhill portion. So a lot of sort of tricky technology that's developed here in the mountains.
And once they get to the top, essentially it's an alpine race back down.
It's an alpine race with a twist. And here's what's going to be really exciting to watch for is that because they have to ski fast uphill, almost like cross country, and at times they actually strip the skis off, right? And they kind of race up in what look almost like hiking boots. The gear is a lot lighter. So when you see alpine skiers like Michaela Schifrin coming down, they have monster plastic boots, really fat skis. These folks are going to be on much lighter gear. And as they're coming down through the gates, skiing really technical terrain, it takes a huge amount of skill and balance, especially given that they're already exhausted from racing uphill. So that's what we're going to be watching for, is which of these athletes have the grace and the endurance to do those plummets on that much lighter gear.
The extremes these athletes push themselves to is absolutely amazing. I can't get over watching it over and over again. Tell us about Skimo. I mean, what's the history of this sport? Where does it come from?
It really starts here. We're in the Alps, and what's happened over the decades is that this sport evolved from something that people went up into the backcountry to do. People can turn almost anything into a race, and people started saying, well, how can we compete at this? And so starting in the 80s and then evolving into the 2000s, people started sort of making rules. You'll see when it's on TV that there's actually a very carefully crafted course they'll use, a portion where they're skiing uphill, then almost what looks like a stepping ladder section where they're going to be on their boots, and then they'll be pivoting down into the gate alpine skiing type event. All of that evolved with people just in the woods, up in the mountains right here.
So it's a first time for everyone. These athletes will be doing Skimo for the first time. So that means that also for the viewers watching, they'll be watching this for the first time. So what should we be looking out for?
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting moments is going to be the transitions. Think NASCAR pit crews, right, where they're swapping out tires super fast. Well, here, as these athletes go through this exhausting sprint and climb, they have to be peeling their skins off at certain times. Sometimes you're going to see them taking their skis off and stowing them away in their backpacks and racing uphill. Then when they get to the top, they have to clamp their skis down, locking their bindings, right? And all of this manual dexterity, very highly skilled stuff when their hands are shaking, when their lungs are heaving. I mean, these guys and these gals have sprinted uphill, huge difficulty level, and they still have to just master it perfectly. So that's going to be a make or break. The people who lose crucial seconds in those transitions, it could cost them at the finish line.
All right, Brian, so who are the medal favorites here?
I mentioned that this sport kind of grew up here in the Alps, so not surprisingly, the French, the Swiss, they're really the favorites coming into this race. The U.S. is not expected to reach the podium. That said, there are two really exciting U.S. athletes here that I want people to be watching out for. Cam Smith, he's won a bunch of national Skimo championships in the United States. It's going to be really interesting to see what kind of sprint race he can put in individually. he also recruited Anna Gibson, this incredibly powerful runner, track athlete, also Nordic skier, who's come very recently into this sport. Recruited her. She's going to be in the women's sprint competition, but they're also going to be pairing up. And so in the relay, that's going to be one of the most interesting parts of this, a bit more of an endurance component there. They could put together a big race on a big day, and they could be really fun to watch. And so Americans not expected to medal, but they could surprise us.
Still really exciting to watch a brand new sport at the Olympics. That's NPR's Brian Mann. Brian, thanks a lot.
Thanks, A.
The Olympics are about more than medals. They're about the stories, the sacrifices, and those rare moments that bring everyone together. NPR's covering the wins, the heartbreaks, and everything in between, from first-time athletes to history makers. If you're enjoying the ride, support the coverage by hitting the blue donate button. Thanks for being part of the team.